In a world where everyone and their brother has a podcast, one stands alone. It's been called one of the podcasts of all time. Welcome to Internet Killed the Video Store.
So let's get to it.
All right.
It's the season finale. This is our final round of the year in tiers. We're doing the best and worst movies of the year of 2023. What we do, if you're unfamiliar, is categorize all the movies we saw this year into 5 different groups. Simply put, the best, the good, the mid, the bad, and the worst. But just to confuse it, we often give them, or pretty much always give them, tier names that are sometimes themed by the year, other times they're just nonsensical. I guess start at the bottom. We've got the worst movies of the year. These are the gas station toilets. You want to avoid these at all costs. What do we got?
Oh my god.
16 of them? Yeah. So worst of the worst was an indie horror movie, Suitable Flesh. Heather Graham was in this, which I think got me interested. Plus it was based on an H.P. Lovecraft novel or a short story. I'm not sure. It's based on an H.P. Lovecraft story. I'll say that. But it was just super sleazy, softcore porn movie. It was not good at all.
Softcore porn movie?
It just made me
serious right now?
real sad for Heather Graham.
Dang.
Yeah, like you're 50. You shouldn't be doing this anymore.
Oh, man.
And I want to think that I'm not a prude, but there are a lot of really sexually explicit movies in the bottom half of this list this year. And so I guess that's probably fitting that this is the bottom.
Representing the worst of the sexualization.
Exactly.
How dare you do that to Heather Graham?
It was
In
really
respect.
that much softcore porn?
I mean, the whole premise of the movie is that she body swaps with this teenage dude who just wants to, like, experience her fucking other people.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah. H.P. Lovecraft does these kind of, like, I don't know. His trademark is, like, supernatural, unexplained horror stories.
Yeah. Eldritch horror. There's,
like, a touch of that, but not nearly as much as I was hoping for. So that was a bummer. That's the worst. 95, right above that, we've got Charlie Day's directorial debut, Fool's Paradise.
Yeah.
Fool's Paradise.
Yeah, and so, yeah, it's got a Green Day title. It's directed by Charlie Day. I'm surprised you haven't seen this, Ben.
What?
He directed and wrote this movie, and I think you guys both know I'm not the biggest fan of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but
I didn't know that.
I was excited to see him kind of get this blank canvas to go do whatever he wants, and this was just not redeemable in almost any facet.
What a squandered opportunity to do anything he wants.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this movie is like fundamentally flawed.
Yeah.
It just presents a character who has no goals or aspirations and then asks you to sit with them for a whole, I mean, it wasn't short, right?
No.
It's like regular length of a movie with a pretty thin premise.
Well, and worst of all is that he doesn't talk.
Right.
He doesn't speak the entire film, which I never thought like Charlie Day was one-dimensional, but when you take away his like high-pitched, high-energy delivery and he's just like pantomiming the entire film, it does not work at all.
He's not really doing anything funny or compelling.
No, he's not a physical comedian, I guess, enough to sell it.
Right. Well, and it's just a vehicle for like all these other characters that are just doing bits, you know?
Yeah.
But none of them are funny either. It just,
No.
I don't know, maybe it was like a bunch of his friends or something and they were just, I don't know.
The whole thing just felt like a bad series of like Mad Magazine sketches where it just really reaching for the punchline and it didn't make a whole lot of sense.
Right.
Doing bad Hollywood parody where you'd think there'd be plenty of material there, but
I was just exhausted. Like by the end, it was like, oh no, not another zany character, please.
Right.
Because it's stitched together. There's no like real, like the energy of the film is just so flat.
Yeah.
That it's just bit after bit. It's like, why? You could have just released this as like, I don't know, episodes of a bad series if you wanted to do these weird characters, but Dude, yeah, I don't know. I love Charlie Day and I love Always Sunny, and he's been able to do some cool stuff like that homages filmmaking and Hollywood and stuff that I can kind of see the DNA of in this movie, but it's just not working here, whereas he's made it work before, so I just don't understand how this went so wrong.
Yeah, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head with like the different zany characters, because that is kind of what happened, or at least how they progressed the plot. Where like, okay, now he's going to hang out with Common for a little bit, where he's doing this Wesley Snipes caricature, like living out of a van thinking he's Blade, but they can't say it's Blade. Or John Malkovich's weird like political non sequitur. Like it was just all over the place.
Yeah. There's no reason to care about any of it.
No. Before we get too far, I guess I should point out, we're not going to hit every movie here. We're just going to go do some pit stops along the way from 96 to 1. So if you want the full breakdown, that is available on internetkilledthevideostore.com. This is just kind of a greatest hits, worst hits, however you want to frame it.
Hell yeah.
Which brings us to Monsters of California, Tom DeLonge's directorial debut. Had a lot of first-time directors this year. I didn't anticipate Charlie Day and Tom DeLonge making two of the worst movies, but here we are. I was hoping there was going to be more like UFO truther stuff to it, but it's just generally bad. I know you paid for it, but then you
I don't
never watched it.
I don't think that story made it onto the show, but I rented it on Amazon for like $5, and then I was sitting there and I was just like, I don't want to fucking watch this. What am I doing?
You couldn't bring yourself to press play. Like it was enough to purchase. Never actually watched it.
Yeah.
That's not a bad decision.
I took a different approach this year, man. I was pretty much just like, I'm going to watch the ones that I think look interesting, even out of the bad section, because I got to watch some. They're like low on the list. But like, I've only got like 2 in the bad section.
That's all right. We can crank through the worst pretty quick. We got 2 more sex movies.
Why are there so many sex movies this year, dude?
I don't know. I'm not seeking these out, I swear. Sanctuary is 93, which is like a short independent horror movie about a dominatrix who like freaks out the moment her rich client decides to break their contract and tries to do the obvious like blackmail tactics.
Yeah. And this is with the guy from
On the Count of Three.
On the Count of Three.
And that's the reason I watched it, because I really liked Christopher Abbott. And I was like, okay, he's in this 90-minute independent horror movie, which is getting rave reviews. I'll check it out. And no, it was a bummer. It's all in like the same 2-hour time span in this hotel room, right as he's telling the girl that they're ending the partnership or deal, however you phrase that.
Right. Dang, so
it's a bummer.
It got good reviews, though. What do you think it worked for other people and not you?
I think some people really liked how like the 2 actors had to fill out the movie just with such a limited setting and
gives them a lot.
Limited story. Margaret Qualley, she's the dominatrix. She's in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Okay.
She's going to be the lead in a new Coen brother movie, so I think that was the other reason I was like, okay, I'll see what she's about.
The Coen brothers are back?
No, sorry, I misspoke. One of the Coen brothers.
Okay, all right. I just had to check real quick. Sorry,
Who
that
are
caught
the
me off
Coen
guard.
brothers? Do they make good stuff? They made Fargo, it looks like, right?
Yeah, they make the best stuff, man.
The best?
Pretty damn good.
Yeah, Barton Fink, Big
Brother, Where Art Thou?
Lebowski.
Yeah.
Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou?
I feel like the Coen brothers are who Quentin Tarantino thinks he is.
Whoa.
Like
think
just
so?
super, like really clean, really efficiently done, really good writing.
Yeah, but there's so much more of an edge to Tarantino's stuff that usually isn't there with, well, I can't say that. Like there's always dark
there's some
comedy
edgy shit.
and I don't know.
They're more subtle. I mean,
maybe that is it. Maybe it is just Tarantino. Like
I don't think Tarantino sees how much of a cartoon he is.
Dude, also Strange Man, right? A Strange Man?
A Strange
Wait,
Man.
you mean A Serious Man?
A Serious Man.
Yeah, A Serious Man
fuck
might be my
dude.
favorite, dude.
Yeah,
I love
think
that
it is.
movie.
I think
Favorite
it's
what?
mine
It's
too.
your favorite movie?
Favorite Coen brother movie, I think.
Might be like top 10 movies of all time.
I
man.
love that movie.
It's
That's
unreal.
so
All right, let's
good.
check it out.
And that dude, that actor.
Yeah. Michael Stuhlbarg, I think is his
Yeah,
name.
Michael
fuck is this guy?
Stuhlbarg.
He's great. He's in Arrival. He's in Shape of Water. He hasn't been anything lately, but really good actor.
He was in Doctor Strange.
Yeah. Yeah, he was like another doctor in that one.
All right.
Dr. Normal.
All right, we're getting way off topic. We're only at
This is where it should
95.
go.
All
Like,
right?
we
Oh,
don't need
God.
structure, man.
We're at
This is the one time of year that we need structure.
right. Weren't you the one
Why?
last time going, are we
'Cause
going to
we
do
have-
all of these?
we
And
have
we're at
so
like
many.
93.
Yeah.
Oh, we're doing a countdown?
Oh, God.
The fuck?
We've already been here for an hour, dude.
My God, we're doing a countdown. I gotta go.
All right. 92, we got Master Gardener. Paul Schrader did another lonely narrator writing his memoir to desk. 91, we got Jonah Hill, You People with the CGI kiss. I think we already talked about that.
Yeah.
Any
a
CGI
long time
sex?
ago. Not that I saw. Maybe deleted scenes.
I know we're trying to speed it up, but like, what was it about You People that made you think like maybe this will be good? Or
I
did
don't
you
know.
know it would be bad?
I mean,
'Cause
maybe
that's one that I just look at the cover and I'm like, no.
Oh shit, I watched this one.
maybe I'm naive, but
serious?
like, I feel like it's such a rarity to see Eddie Murphy in a comedy. So I'm like,
I was wondering
okay,
if it would be that.
he's coming out for something. Jonah Hill's in it. Julia
like-
Louis-Dreyfus is in it.
But that I think at the same time, dude, like seeing Eddie Murphy is when I know to run because
I know. Well,
the last 30 comedy movies he's made were bad.
But he's been choosy lately. He hasn't. I mean, he's come out a little more recently, but he was gonna like relaunch himself. But then he made Coming to America, and it was terrible. So yeah, I
Did
don't
you
know.
say the
So
kiss
he's
was
been more
CGI?
choosy, but he's still just choosing bad
Yeah,
things.
I was hoping the choosiness would be some sort of quality indication, but no,
This movie was so fucking forced, dude.
so bad. No, so I don't know if you're here or not, but when we talked about it, there was a rumor going around that extras on set saw the final kiss between Jonah Hill and his wife. They never actually like kissed. They got really close and then they CGI morphed their faces together in post to make it look like a kiss.
Why? Because she didn't want to kiss Jonah?
There must have been some kind of weird tension. I don't know. Yeah. The whole movie is written and directed by the creator of Blackish, but then Jonah Hill was written in as like a co-writer later. So I feel like he probably had a heavy hand in trying to reshape and like rewrite this movie.
Yeah.
Because it takes substantive changes to be credited as a writer. Most rewrites don't get credited at all. So something tells me
It's like
he kind
30 or
of
40% or something. Like,
Yeah.
it's pretty significant.
I think it's
So-
a little corny the way it goes about what it's trying to do.
oh
I
yeah,
don't think
it's-
it does it very well.
It's not a good movie. It's, yeah, did not enjoy that one. But yeah, I don't know. Jonah Hill, Eddie Murphy, I thought it can't be terrible, right? But it was pretty close. It doesn't help when you don't give the funniest guy in the movie any jokes. Like Eddie Murphy was not a funny character in this. They tried to make him like Robert De Niro and Meet the Parents.
Pockers?
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
And it's like, give him a joke. Let him say something funny.
Yeah, that's dumb. What a
Exactly what I was
mistake.
thinking.
I thought the same thing about Strays. Like, okay, how could it be bad to give Jamie Foxx and Will Ferrell the ability to make voiceover for
Right.
dogs? But
Yeah.
it wasn't good. I don't know what happened to Will Ferrell. I still want to believe there's a funny guy in there, but every time lately I'm proved wrong.
Damn, it was that bad? I was actually kind of a little excited.
I was willing to at least give it a shot, obviously, but no, it's like tries to do all this cutesy like pet owner humor, but then like mixes it with like really crude like dog shit and dog sex jokes, and
Yeah.
it's just not a good mix.
Bummer.
Yeah, that's a bummer. That's 90. Did you watch Totally Killer, or did you mark the wrong thing and think that was the...
that was a rage quit for me.
That was a rage quit,
Yeah,
okay.
I don't think I made it all the way through, but yeah.
Didn't work on any front. Wasn't
Okay.
scary, wasn't funny. The time traveling thing was just a stupid plot device.
You never liked time travel either, right?
Not never, but this just felt like
Didn't justify it.
no, this was like just stupid. It was like the anniversary of some like slasher, and some kid at the science fair just happened to make a time machine so they could go back. Like,
Oh gosh.
yeah,
No. Anytime you have the science fair in a movie, like something has gone really wrong.
nothing good happens at the science fair. 88, Five Nights at Freddy's. That's what it was.
Yep.
Yeah, I've never played these games. I don't know what like all the lore is, but it feels just like a botched adaptation where you
Yeah.
can tell there's cool stuff there. It just never comes through in the movie.
I don't know if that's exactly what's going on. I think it's more for like people much younger than us.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. I think we're just too old for it. I've watched some streams of like people when the first game came out, and it was like, oh, this is kind of funny and interesting. But some people, like younger people, took it to just a different level of getting into like the lore of the series and stuff, which is I just didn't realize was actually a thing. Yeah, I don't know. It did really, really well as far as like viewership.
Yeah, blew up. It's the biggest thing Peacock's ever put out.
Yeah.
And then it also did really good at traditional box office. I think it was the highest grossing horror movie of the year.
They've continued to put out games. It's almost like, it's a reasonable enough following that you can just get people by making a movie with Easter eggs of the stuff in it. But I don't think it was really supposed to work for anyone but them.
No, I mean, again, I don't have any experience with the source material, but just at face value, it seems like, okay, the robotic band from Chuck E. Cheese comes alive and kills people.
Right.
But that's not what happens in this movie. Like, they hardly even spend Five Nights at Freddy's. Half the movie is like dream flashbacks of the people that possess these robots.
Oh, okay.
And the robots are like befriending this little kid in the movie, so they're not even really scary.
So setting up for like future stuff.
Yeah, so did not like that.
Yeah, whatever.
87, The Pope's Exorcist, I did watch, even though it was behind a Netflix paywall, just to feel like I was a good friend to Max. I didn't send him alone on this island, even though I made him watch The Idol by himself. But I did drop it from where he had it. I think you put it below 65.
Oh, yeah.
Way up higher.
Oh, I didn't notice that until now.
I downgraded it. I thought it was a gas station toilet.
Oh, gas station.
What? Really? You didn't even think, like, at the end when you see Russell Crowe pull up on the Vespa, you're not like, man, I could watch another one of these.
It does very much feel like they're setting up a franchise in this movie, which really was the most shocking thing. But no, this felt like this was to The Exorcist what National Treasure is to Raiders of the Lost Ark. Like, it's just a dumbed down modernization, butchering all the things they're trying to recreate.
I had rewatched The Exorcist for our interview with Nate, and I was like, I just had this weird hankering for like badass priests. That's something I never thought I would.
A weird hankering?
Yeah, man. I was just like, there's this scene in The Exorcist where it's just Max von Sydow and I don't know the guy's
other
name,
dude.
Damien, you know, just like sternly flicking holy water on each other. I was like, man, this is tight.
These guys are badass.
Yeah, never thought that before. You know, I was never a very religious person, but yeah, I was like,
these guys sell it.
Russell Crowe looks like a pretty badass priest, but
he's definitely
he was, dude.
Yeah, he fills it out for sure.
His accent is pretty great.
He's living his best life. He seems to be enjoying it. But what'd you think of the Haunted Mansion? We got that down there at 86.
I think this is why the actor's strike actually happened. I think it was this movie, dude. You can't make people do this stuff, especially not Lakeith Stanfield and Rosario Dawson. Like, what the fuck? They actually made them look bad. Like,
you think they made them do it?
Well, I mean,
I'm kind of curious, actually.
Yeah, you get to look at the script, but then, yeah, okay, fair point. Like,
did they look at the script though? Because
did they look at the script?
When I was watching this, I kept thinking, okay, there's more names in this somewhere, right? Because I remember looking at the cast and being really impressed. And then there's like a random throwaway scene where they go to this exhibit and fucking Winona Ryder and what's his name? Schitt's Creek guys show up for like 3 minutes. It's like, did they hire these guys before they even know what they were going to do with them in the movie? Why are they here?
Seem like there was a lot of Danny DeVito or some of the other like Owen Wilson characters didn't get a lot of screen time compared to
just too many characters.
Lakeith had to do a lot. Yeah. And
they snuck Jared Leto in here too. They made me watch a Leto movie.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I feel like I won't look at any of these people the same except for Owen Wilson. I think that
he was decent.
There's a few moments where he's actually like pretty charming, even though he's just acting with like CGI ghosts. Yeah. It's like, wow, dude, this dude picked up some tricks from those fucking Night at the Museum movies.
Speaking of sleazy priests, he was pretty good. I like that.
There you go.
The art direction and everything, it looked cool when they went to like the ghost realm, but yeah, none of these characters or anything was anything worth spending time with.
It was just a total mess, and then it still tries to pull off like the classic Disney feel-good ending at the end, and it's like, dude, come on, you haven't earned any of this. I don't feel anything but frustration and annoyance right now.
And you would think if they're going to make movies out of Disney theme park rides, Haunted Mansion would be the most applicable to turn into a movie.
And easy.
Right. But somehow they're 0 for 2.
No.
85, we got Megan. What was your take on Megan? I've been waiting for someone to agree with me. This is terrible. Did you like
I
it?
disagree entirely.
You like it?
This is Malignant all over again, except I don't have to feel conflicted about it.
You have popular support behind you.
Yeah, well, and it's not like just casually like, making light of sensitive topics.
Yeah.
So
Wow, Ryan, everyone did like it.
Everyone liked Megan.
Everyone
but
loved
me.
it.
Megan is funny. Yeah.
Is it supposed to be though?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I
Ryan,
mean,
you're watching it wrong.
I'm watching it wrong again. I've got it below Exorcist Believer, which again, we've got a lot of priest movies this year. Priests and sex.
Yeah, there you go.
Exorcist Believer. It was edited really well. Like it went really quick. I commend it for that. Like it was like David Gordon Green was just rushing me through this. Like
the lighting was incredible.
Yeah, he really kept the pace up. What do we got? 83, 80 for Brady. Wasn't terrible.
What?
Wasn't terrible.
Why did you watch this?
So here's the thing.
To see Tom Brady?
No, I hate Tom Brady, but I've watched Frank and Gracie, or Gracie and Frank, whatever Lily Tomlin and Jane Fonda's show on Netflix was.
Yeah.
And that's basically what this movie was. Just an
Okay.
extension of those characters. They just
All right.
make some new friends and go to the Super Bowl and hang out with Guy Fieri. So I was okay, this isn't terrible.
But it wasn't good.
No, it's still the worst.
Aw,
Yeah, it's still a gas station
That's too
toilet,
bad.
but it's
You
not.
kind of sold me on it there, but
No, it's got a lot of dumb, like, easy laugh cameos.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, no, it's still just a big empty commercial for the NFL.
did Tom show up?
Oh, yeah. And he
Oh.
had like 4 lines, and it was terrible. Like, he should never do that again. When you're a worse actor than Gronk, you know you've really failed. So that sums up our gas station toilets. The bad tier, the bad but not entirely terrible.
What's
These
the name?
are the Sega Dreamcasts.
There it is.
There
Yep.
it is. You've been waiting for it. It's obviously not good, but somewhat redeemable. Crazy Taxi was fun, right?
Right,
Did you guys
yeah.
play Crazy Taxi?
I think it came with that.
That was the good one.
You never played Crazy Taxi?
And you had a Dreamcast.
I don't think so.
What?
What did you play on your Dreamcast if you didn't play Crazy Taxi?
Test Drive 6.
What?
No.
Yeah, I had Eve 6 as the Eve 6 was on there.
But did she drive a taxi?
You might have been able to. There's plenty of
Test
cars.
Drive
Why the
6.
fuck would I choose a taxi?
Did you play the original NBA 2K?
Nope.
I didn't realize this until years later when I was looking at like the details on how the Dreamcast failed. Did
Yeah.
you know they didn't burn protect any of their games?
Oh.
So you could just burn Dreamcast games,
just
rent
like,
them from Blockbuster.
That's not going to get big.
People aren't gonna. What? No way. But
Oh, man.
that's a problem. So yeah, back to movies. 74, we got 65. Old Adam Driver fighting dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Not in Turok like he should be, but
Oh, that would have been that would have been way cooler. Do like a Turok thing.
Yeah.
No, this one, if you're going to make a movie that's just like 2 actors in the woods, it needs to look a lot better than this. Like, I don't think they thought about that, or
No.
maybe just didn't have the budget to really do like a lot of on-location stuff.
yeah.
Also, just don't do a bunch of bad CG. Like, you don't have the budget for that either.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of bad CG. And, like, of course this movie was going to be that because it's just a dinosaur movie.
Right.
So,
I think the thing that stuck out to me in this movie was just, again, the fact that one of the main characters, like, couldn't talk. Like, you have this wolf and lone cub storyline, but they
Yeah.
can't really communicate with each other, so
that's another thing, though, man. Like, just please chill
been
out
done to
on
death, yeah.
Like, why are we doing this so much now?
Yeah.
You know?
speaking of bad CGI, not to go back, but Pope's Exorcist had a lot of bad CGI. And like unnecessary points, like where the Pope is spitting up blood, like that did not need to be digitized at all.
I don't remember that.
I do.
I'll bet it looked pretty good.
Not as good as the geyser melting these dinosaurs. 53 was VHS, 85. 52, we got Flamin' Hot, the
Yeah.
Cheetos story.
Uh-huh.
I think I just watched out of morbid curiosity to see what Eva Longoria directing a movie would look like.
Mm-hmm.
But then, yeah, it's kind of disenchanting when you find out that the story's not real and this guy didn't actually invent flaming hot Cheetos.
Yeah.
So
Right.
that kind of puts a hamper on things.
They were like trying to slip in with the trend this year of just making movies about products.
Yeah, a lot
They're
of product movies, product origins.
This is the lowest product movie that
Yeah,
you rated.
At least that I watched, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't see all of them, but this is the lowest. 71, we got Knock at the Cabin, M. Night Shyamalan. Pretty basic movie, straightforward, not a lot of thrills. I will say, best Dave Bautista performance thus far.
I might check it out then.
It was cool to see him get like top billing in something because as much as I like him, he's always kind of been a side character.
Yeah.
So to see him take like a main role like this and be even better than anything I've seen him in since.
Oh, that's so great.
Was really cool. So,
I'm glad to hear that. I hope that he gets to keep doing stuff like that.
Yeah, I think head and shoulders above the rest of the wrestlers turned actors at this point.
That his scene in Blade Runner, I still think is like the best scene in the movie, and part of that is his acting, and part of it is just because that scene just fucking rocks. But,
he's great, man.
Yeah.
70, we got Next Goal Wins.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I
There
finally did get to see this.
Fassbender.
Yeah.
He's back.
Which sucks because he's not great at comedy, or at least this movie. I don't know if I'd fully put it on him because this movie, like you've seen this a million times, like the underdog sports team that sucks gets a new coach and like he's a drill sergeant and they eventually meet in the middle. Bad News Bears, Mighty Ducks, Hardball, like we've seen this movie 1,000 times.
Ted Lasso, but like inversion of the character, but still the same idea, basically.
And there's like the hope that, okay, well, it's Taika Waititi.
Yeah.
He's got enough personality to make anything fun, but we were talking earlier about Napoleon Dynamite, and this felt very much like that, where it's like, okay, the charm used to work, but he's just hitting the same notes, and it's not having
With
the same
Taika?
effects. Yeah.
Yeah. No, man. I think you're catching up to how like a lot of people feel about him at this point.
Yeah,
you know? And
which is a
maybe it's-
bummer. I think he's just stretched too thin, man. He's had like 6
I
movies
agree,
and
but
3
I
TV
think-
shows.
Yeah, but I think it's kind of like what we were saying earlier about Haunted Mansion, or what Ben was joking about. Who's forcing him to take on all the work? You
Right.
know?
That's true.
And like, if he's taking on all the projects just to like make money and then just writing like lazy ass jokes to the point where like, yeah, I've been a little pissed off by some of the stuff that I've watched from him just because of how lazy it is.
It's so predictable at this point. Like,
or it's just a recycled joke that I heard when I was like 5 or
Right.
something. It's like, dude, you can't do that when you used to be like so good at this stuff. You know, like, I just feel like he's going to ruin his own value, or like what people, you know, he could end up like a Shyamalan or something.
Right.
If he doesn't like start making some good stuff again, which I know he's perfectly capable of. I was really into Jojo Rabbit. I know that a lot of people were not into that movie, but I like that instinct in him to just be that bold with something versus doing the recycled jokes or something because you're spread too thin.
right. That at least showed some growth and like taking some chances, where this is just so predictable in every capacity, which is a bummer. So
Too bad.
68. Did either of you guys watch Napoleon? I know we talked about it.
No.
I wanted to.
Dude, I was bummed by this. They
I heard it wasn't the best.
sold it as like this big IMAX experience with all these battle scenes, and like the whole thing is just about how Napoleon's wife cucked him.
Holy shit.
And that was it.
What? That's
Yeah.
it?
I mean, there's like 3 battle scenes. The scenes in the trailer are the battle scenes in the movie. And I get like, you don't want to fetishize this guy as being this great heroic dude.
Yeah.
But it was strange. And I love Joaquin Phoenix, but his choices here were so strange because obviously it's not true to history because no one is speaking French in this movie.
Yeah.
But everybody has this like old English affectation to how they're talking, and he's just talking like he's in any movie, and it's so jarring.
No, I have a friend that is like a history buff, and he just didn't really have anything good to say about the Napoleon stuff in this movie.
There was people laughing out loud in the movie, like at points when it was not intended at all. Like they're having this serious debate, and he's just like out of nowhere in the most blunt voice. you think you're great because you have boats? Or like his wife sitting there discussing like dinner plans with somebody in this big elegant conversation, and he just walks up behind her and goes, "Why aren't you pregnant?" That got a big laugh in my theater.
What?
That was a good one.
The audience in Tomato both fucking hate it equally.
Yeah.
58-59. That doesn't happen often.
Wow.
No, it was not good. We got that one just above The Flash. We got The Flash down at 67. We've talked plenty about that.
Not good, huh?
No, Flash is not good. Speaking of bad superhero stuff, we got The Marvels at 64. Just not great.
Yeah.
They tried to make it like a team-up movie just to add some juice to Captain Marvel stock because people haven't been super into that character, but
Right.
their big team-up ability was that they could like transport with one another, which didn't really add anything to their characters since
Yeah.
Captain Marvel can fly, so which
Well,
is
and-
kind of transporting.
Does it just creates a scenario where none of them get to play off each other because
Yeah,
they're all just
basically.
in different scenes?
We get to take turns.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good
No.
idea.
And like,
No, dude, Marvel, take a fucking break, dude. Take a nap.
Yeah.
Like it,
Take a break, dude.
too
yeah,
much.
Too much. It's been too much for like years now.
And they're very much pandering to specific audiences. Like you have Miss Marvel in this movie,
Kamala Khan.
and she's great.
Yeah.
But like the first time you have like a Middle Eastern lead in one of these, they happen to go to a planet with this giant Bollywood number and this arranged marriage, and it's like this is a little cringy to shove this in this
Yeah.
movie where it doesn't belong.
Yeah, dude. Let Bollywood do that. Like
Right.
you don't need to try to do everything.
You're not RRR. Get out of here.
Exactly.
Fuck is RRR?
But you know that's why they did it.
Right.
'Cause they were like, oh, that Netflix Bollywood. How have you not seen that, Ben? It was on Netflix.
RRR?
Yeah.
It's great.
RRR?
Yeah.
That's really what it's called.
Yeah.
It's like the most insane 3-hour action movie ever made.
Yeah, it's dope.
It
And
looks
it's-
like it's against a dude and a tiger.
Yeah, he fire punches a tiger at one point. There's a huge dance number. It's insane.
We can't be talking about this.
Yeah,
so-
we're already.
Why not?
We got to keep on track.
So
That
we
was
gotta-
last year's tiers.
Yeah.
Naiad was 62. Saltburn was 61. That
Yeah.
one's getting a lot of heat right now.
Yeah.
Saltburn.
Saltburn is
My boy Barry Keoghan letting it all hang out in more ways than one.
Yeah.
What'd you think of Saltburn?
Well, it's sad, man, because this movie might have actually, like, the most damage it really did is probably sour me on Barry Keoghan
Really?
a little bit.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, man, he really goes for it. I kind of feel bad for him. He goes for it so hard. Some people are not going to be able to look at Barry Keoghan the same way after this movie.
No, it's
And everyone's going to see what he did from the memes. Like, you know,
it's hard to tell which one you're even talking about because he's got a few.
I'm not going to say.
The whole thing is
Yeah.
shock value.
It
I
is. It's just, it felt so empty. This is like a perfect companion piece for The Idol.
Yeah?
Like, this felt the most similar to The Idol of
Wow.
anything I saw this year. But to be
Yeah.
honest, I was way more okay with watching Saltburn. Like,
Yeah.
it was like not a terrible hang, you know?
I mean, it's just really challenging. It kind of like forces you to view like, okay, what am I even looking for when I watch a movie? Do you want to see something you've never seen before that like makes a poignant message? Or do you want to enjoy yourself and just turn
Right.
off your brain for 2 hours? Because
Yeah.
I think like technically it's really well made. I really like Emerald Fennell, the writer, director. She did Promising Young Woman before
Never
this,
saw it, yeah.
which is really good. The visuals are really good here.
I'd like to see it, yeah.
But yeah, I put more of it on her because I just feel like it's such an empty premise.
Yeah.
Like, I get the statement you're trying to make. There's been a million Eat the Rich movies lately.
See, I don't get the statement though.
Yeah?
Like, I don't think it's a very clear statement whose side the movie is on.
I thought it was just depicting how gross this guy is, obsessed with status and wealth and everything he's willing to do for it.
Yeah.
And, you know, some of the scenes I thought were funny, but most of them I thought it's not worth watching this to get to that point that everybody already knows.
Yeah.
All right.
Here we go.
Saltburn was the worst or the best Dreamcast. So now we're into the mid. The middle tier is the cornflakes.
Okay. Yeah.
Perfectly average. If you
Yeah.
want some flavor, you're going to get Frosted Flakes. Nobody just goes straight for cornflakes.
But that's a good name for it too, because if
Yeah.
I open up the cupboard and all I've got is cornflakes, it's like, you know what? At least you're here.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Right. It's serviceable. I'm not going to be hungry, but I'm not also going to be like super stoked. Okay, so 59, we got old Rebel Moon. Zack Snyder came back.
How did this make it into this category, Ryan?
I had a feeling you were going to hate this a lot more than I did. I think I'm just like, the bar has been so lowered for Zack Snyder that I'm just like, all right, this is competent.
I mean, I think it is very brave of him to say, like, no, Disney, no, George Lucas, like, I can also make a bad Star Wars movie.
I mean, shot for shot, that cantina. Wow, that was bold.
That was the one that really broke me, but like I was not enjoying any of it.
Yeah. Is this AI generated Star Wars?
It seems like it. No, I think a good way to think about it is almost like, I think what he did was go, okay, so George Lucas based Jedi on samurai. Well, what if I just had samurai in my movie?
Right.
And the Empire was based on Nazis. What if I just have real Nazis? And like, yeah, that's a lot of the movie. Plus, it's just like the worst team building movie I've ever seen, dude. Like,
it's like this whole second half of the movie's team building. That's the whole thing.
And I don't care about any of those people at all.
It looks good though.
You go to a gladiator world and like, there's no gladiator fight. It's like Mortal Kombat all over again.
Yeah, for sure.
And I like Sofia Boutella.
Oh yeah.
But I don't really find her incredibly compelling, like not enough to lead a series.
Yeah.
And the scenes of her and the farmer guy, when like every once in a while she'd just stroll into his like bed chambers and be like, hey, did you down to hear like a little more of my backstory?
Right. It's origin time. Saddle up.
So fucking bad. Oh man. Yeah, I wish that like, because I'm laughing about it a lot right now and enjoying making fun of it, but I really didn't have a fun time watching it. I wish I felt like I did right now when I was watching it, but no.
It was a good like empty watch. Like I'm surprised just how good.
It wasn't a good anything, Ryan.
I'm surprised how good, like we talked about all these movies with terrible CGI. How does this movie made for Netflix look so much better than The Flash or like any of these major studio movies?
That's fair.
And I really liked Anthony Hopkins' Flower Crown robot. I hope he shows back up. He was cool.
Gosh. What was that character?
I did hear, this sounds like a joke, but it's true, that Zack Snyder's already made an R-rated 3-hour Snyder cut of this movie that's going to come out before part 2 this spring. So,
which makes no sense.
Yeah.
Like,
that's just his thing. He's going to make Snyder cuts for everything now.
Right. But like, it implies that they wouldn't let him have final say on the movie.
Like, it's pretty clearly letting him do whatever he wants.
No, man.
All right, what do we got? 58. We got Wonka, which I did end up going to see.
Okay.
Date night movie.
Nice. How was it?
I realized how much I don't care about Wonka. Like, I want the factory. Like, Wonka isn't cool without the factory.
So it was an origin story.
It was an origin story. It's made by the guy who made the Paddington movies.
Okay.
Which are like...
Those are supposed to be good.
Very good. The first 2 Paddington movies are really good. And if I had to think of like somebody that could match like Willy Wonka imagination, that would be the dude to plug in. But yeah, it just didn't fully work for me. Timothée Chalamet is like a really good dramatic actor, but I don't think he pulled off like the big personality of leading like a comedy like this very well.
Yeah, he's a little too understated, I would think.
He didn't really sell that very well. And then the music wasn't very good.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, and the whole thing was like supposed to be a music, and the only song I remember from it was when they finally did World of Pure Imagination from the original movie.
Yeah,
so,
right.
I mean, it was fine. There are worse kids' movies out there, but wasn't anything to write home about. 56, we got Ant-Man.
Oof.
Anything to say about that?
Huge whiff.
Pour one out for Corey Stoll and how they...
Oh, the new Ant-Man's that bad?
Stretched his face out.
For me, this is my least favorite Marvel.
This is where Marvel like turned the corner, right? This is where everybody gave up on him.
Yeah, I would say it's where like the general public gave up on Marvel.
Yeah.
And it's, to me, not too dissimilar from the mistakes they've been making with a lot of their stuff. It just felt like the whole movie was nothing but just the bad tendencies that they have at this point. Like plot contrivances, my least favorite plot contrivance, which is just a character not telling her allies what like important information, just withholding information for no reason at all. it's also just like a really bland sci-fi setting, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand what makes the quantum verse different from like the settings in like the Thor movies or like
very Star Wars prequel vibes with all the CGI environments.
For sure, yeah.
54, we got Ninja Turtles. We talked about that. I think I've liked it even less the more I thought about just how heavy-handed they were with all the hip-hop references and stuff. And yeah, wasn't a fan of that.
I will say I'm pretty sure that Trent Reznor didn't rip off Horse the Band.
No.
I listened to that Horse the Band thing and I was like, yeah, I mean, they used a synthesizer.
They used instruments. There's the crossover. That might have been a reach. 53, we got Last Voyage of the Demeter.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to see this.
Wasn't bad.
Yeah.
Perfectly mid. It's got a good cast. It's kind of like The Thing, but with a vampire on a boat and not really very suspenseful. But
yeah. I heard it shows its hand like pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So that was kind of what held me off. But I think he might be the main dude in it, Liam
Cunningham.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was great. I really liked him. I hadn't seen him in anything before.
He was a fan favorite on Game of Thrones.
Oh, okay.
He's like one of the, I wouldn't say minor character, but not like a main character.
Yeah.
He's great.
Then we got Tetris, which was surprisingly not bad, which I thought, how do you make a movie about Tetris? But if you turn Taron Egerton into video game Jordan Belfort.
I mean, dude, I think if you just get Taron Egerton, like that's a lot of the work done right there. I think this guy is just one of the most underrated people working in Hollywood right now.
For sure.
I really like seeing him. And I think he holds the movie together for the most part, but man, there's like 10 too many scenes in that same interrogation room over in Russia. You know the one I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
And some of the more action-y stuff that it ends up with just felt very forced. Like you're reminding yourself like, wait, this is a movie about Tetris?
Right. It turns into like a heist movie in the last 30 minutes or so.
Yeah. I mean, I know it was some high-stakes stuff going on for some of the people involved, but it just went off the rails slightly for me by the end, but I enjoyed my time with it.
Yeah, they did a good job turning this into something much better than it could have been.
Yeah.
I think the editing, the directing, the composer, Lauren Balfe, I thought did a really good job. He also did the Dungeons and Dragons score, which I thought he did a good job with. So
I agree with that, yeah.
He was a cool guy that popped up as far as composers are concerned this year.
That's great.
51, we got The Killer, old David Fincher's back.
Yeah, and Fassbender Strike 2.
Yeah.
This one's not quite a strike.
No. Yeah. It's fine. Yeah. I mean, did you guys ever grow up with any kids who would like not outright bribe you to hang out with them, but like kind of like, hey, if you come over, my parents will go spend money on us to do this thing, or like buy you movie tickets or take you to a concert, or we'll go to the mall.
Sounds like something I would probably have done if I was a kid.
I feel like that's what the relationship is between Netflix and David Fincher. Like, come on, we just need your content. We'll give you whatever you want. Please just hang out with us, make some stuff, do whatever you want. We need your name. That's like the amount of commitment it feels like we're getting from David Fincher. Like, fine.
Okay.
I'll come over. I'll make some movies if you want, whatever. Hang out with Michael Fassbender for a month.
Yeah.
Could be worse.
The thing is, some people are just really fawning over this film.
Yeah. I think it's just Fincher fanboys.
Yes.
'Cause
I was just surprised, you know. I would think if I was a fan of him, I would want him to be performing at a little higher efficiency rate.
Yeah.
or something.
There's not a lot of substance here other than watching him like try and convince himself he's this well-oiled machine and just making mistakes all the time.
Yeah. And
I've heard some people say like, this is David Fincher's comedy film, which, okay, but it's still not that funny.
No. I know some people were so into the narration and just the juxtaposition of that with like what he's doing, but and I get it. I get that that's what the movie is, but yeah, I didn't find at any point that was actually like doing much for me.
That's the most patronizing explanation. I hate when people are like, you just didn't get it. It's like, no, it's not hard to see what it is. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
I can not like it and understand it. Those things aren't mutually exclusive.
No, I don't know though. I was thinking about that though. What if we just didn't get Fool's Paradise, you know?
Maybe we didn't.
What if that's the thing? What if like there's just a very select number of people that are like, yeah, I totally understand why this movie rocks.
Yeah. The quantum verse went straight over my head. I did not
Right.
get what Marvel was trying to do. The layers.
Quantum verse.
It's very nuanced. 50. We got old Indiana Jones.
Oh yeah, old Indiana Jones.
Yeah, very literally.
But I think as far as that stuff goes, I was really worried by the commercials that he was going to be like running all over the place. And
Yeah.
luckily, I just don't think this movie's doing a whole lot of that. It's still not what I want from an Indiana Jones movie. It's not that I like have a ton of expectations, but I would think you could at least not be like weighed down by the legacy of Shia LaBeouf in the movie that came before. Dude, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Did you have a problem with that as well? Because I felt like the whole thing they did to, like, write the backstory of, like, him getting killed in Vietnam and, like, breaking up Indy and Marion, it just puts this, like, shadow over the whole thing for me, where I'm like, there's just this like, grimness that I didn't need in this movie at all.
Yeah, I don't know. When I was watching it, I think I forgot that he actually was his son. So, like, when he was talking about losing his son, I was like, oh, Indy had a kid, huh? It's like, oh, no, I knew that. I just probably conveniently, subconsciously
Blocked it
filed it
out.
away forever.
Yeah.
But I didn't hate Crystal Skull. I didn't like the alien stuff, but I thought it was a decent movie.
Yeah.
This, I didn't find a whole lot redeemable about. The action scenes were kind of cool, the way they set them up. Like, it was a lot more believable than I thought 80-year-old Indiana Jones was going to be. But
yeah, that's a good way to put it.
at the end of the day, I was kind of like, why don't you guys just make a video game? Doesn't LucasArts make video games? Just do that if you're going to make these giant CGI chase scenes.
Yeah, well, Naughty Dog already beat them to it. I don't think they're going to...
Well, Naughty Dog, I think, like, retired the Nathan Drake character, right? If they're going to make Uncharted movies, why don't you pivot and make Indiana Jones video games?
They can try. I just, I don't have much faith.
That's a high bar to meet.
Definitely.
So, yeah, what do we got? Across the Spider-Verse at 47.
There we go.
This has been, like, lauded as the best animated movie of all time and the best sequel. I just did not get into it at all. It just took way too long to set up, and then Oscar Isaac shows up to Spider-Man-splain the whole plot of the movie, and then it's like, well, we'll deal with the villain in part 2.
Yeah, this is a situation where I can't deny that, like, I always want to push back on your like part 1 and part 2 thing.
Yeah.
But I can't here. It definitely feels like half a movie. I do think the animation is pretty incredible, but I'm conflicted with it because there was stuff about, how the animators were very overworked during this production, which isn't great. Yeah. And also, for real, I feel like it's too much.
It's 2.5 hours for part 1 of an animated Spider-Man movie.
Well, and it's just so packed. It's so dense. I watched it twice, and I probably got a third of the jokes in the movie. And I don't think that's a good thing.
No.
Like, I am all for really wall-to-wall funny stuff, but this is just, like, definitely a point of too much for me. I'm not a slouch with animation. Like, I'll watch some pretty wild stuff, but, like... Yeah, dude, I wanted it to slow down and just cut, like, I don't know, 10% of what's going on. Not even lengthwise, but just, like, within the movie. Just, like, clean this up a little bit. It's a lot.
Well, it took them, like, 90 minutes just to get to the Spider-Verse. Like, there's so much exposition.
Is a lot. Yeah. And it feels uneven in that way because the stuff I'm talking about is much more... There's just this, like, middle... and end section of the movie that's just like a sensory overload, whereas the beginning feels like quite tame and almost boring. So
it's fine. Like, it's decent.
It was a good movie for me. It wasn't mid, but I get it at the same time, especially if you don't like first parts of things. So
we got Sisu at 46.
Yeah, an interesting movie.
Yeah, I really like the director. Like, it was really just oozing with style.
Yeah, I thought the whole concept was really cool. There's just like some pretty unforgettable scenes in this movie.
Yeah.
And as someone that really liked the Revenant, and the whole concept of what a Revenant is, basically just this person that is undead, but like won't completely die until they complete their mission.
Right.
There's definitely a lot of that in this movie, and
Yeah.
yeah.
I think the only thing that kept it from being good was that it seemed like the lead had trouble with some of the action sequences, like
Yeah.
really selling that.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, pretty decent.
Yeah.
44, we got Dungeons and Dragons. What did you make of this, Max? You're the expert in this
I mean,
area.
yeah, I like the characters in this movie. I think it hits the right tone.
Mm-hmm.
I like that they actually do D&D specific stuff. It doesn't just feel like a generic fantasy movie.
Yeah.
There's creatures that are straight out of the Dungeons and Dragons monster manual, and like, I don't know, even some of the magic items and stuff might have been that, but it felt a little too, I don't know, maybe too beholden to that stuff in some ways. There's a really long sequence with a character like trying to attune to a magic item so that they can use it. Even as a D&D person, I was like getting very bored with that. And
Yeah.
I think they do like almost like a Riddle of the Sphinx kind of scenario also. And at a certain point, stuff just started feeling a bit like gimmicky.
Yeah.
And I think it's a problem to not have the duality of players sitting at a table and like cutting from that to like those people being the characters. That's how I would make a D&D movie. And I think it's kind of weird to do it any other way, honestly, because it just misses so much of what the game is.
What makes it kind of fun.
Yeah, because in reality, you're just sitting at a table with your friends, like bullshitting,
Right.
you know? Like include that in the story. That would be fun.
Yeah. No, this definitely had a good sense of humor. I like Chris Pine. He doesn't lead enough stuff, in my opinion. But
Michelle Rodriguez,
Yeah.
also just kicking ass. Like,
Yeah.
she was so fun to watch.
as much humor as there is, I feel like that kind of, I don't know, fourth wall breaking of like not taking this so seriously probably would have been a good idea.
Yeah. Even just that, I think a little more playing around with the
Yeah.
meta aspects would have been cool.
40, we got Dumb Money, the GameStop meme stock story.
Yeah, I liked this one.
I wanted
Yeah.
to see that.
I think you would like it. I like this one a bit more than where it's rated.
Yeah.
I would say
A lot of people in this.
Paul Dano is the only person I care about. Well, and Shailene Woodley.
I was going to say, there's a ton of people. What do you mean?
Who
America
else?
Ferrera, Nick Offerman, Seth Rogen, Sebastian Stan,
They're all, yeah, but they're not.
Dane DeHaan. They don't do much, but they're in it.
Yeah, but that stuff is so, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That stuff is so disconnected. That whole device, I don't think worked very well.
Even Pete Davidson didn't really feel like
I don't ever give a shit about Pete Davidson.
ever.
But yeah, dude, I love Paul Dano, and I love Shailene Woodley a lot too. And like, they were compelling as characters, as a couple.
Yeah.
I thought that like the Seth Rogen character was interesting too, because you just don't get to see that too often.
He's playing something a little different.
Yeah, well, it was interesting for him, and also just interesting to like see what I think is like probably a fairly realistic depiction of what a person like that could be like.
Yeah,
as opposed to just like cartoonish.
Right.
You know?
They don't turn him into like a cartoon villain.
Yeah.
He's a little more grounded.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the reason I had it as mid is it felt like they were just rushing to be the first person to make a movie out of this story. Whereas like I wanted a little more depth. I wanted a little more context. Like they don't even get the end of the lawsuit in this movie.
Dude, it's becoming so gross. There's like the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard thing is on Netflix now. Like, who the fuck?
Right.
What?
They just rushed to make a movie out of anything.
Yeah.
It's nutty. 36, we got Talk to Me, which was like the big indie horror breakout of the year.
Yeah.
Somebody did a possession movie well, other than The Pope's Exorcist and
Yeah, man.
Exorcist Believer.
I like this movie quite a bit.
Yeah.
This is way higher for me. Like
Way higher.
Yeah, absolutely, man. There was a lot of hype around it, but it still like lived up to the hype. It was one of those rare situations. I haven't seen this Sophie Wilde actor before, but
She was great.
she was really good.
I think these guys were
a lot of good young actors, Australian actors. Miranda Otto, who plays the mother, just fiercely sniffing out the party that's
Oh, yeah.
like hatching in her house.
Yeah.
She was so good. I don't know her from anything but Return of the King, which is the third Lord of the Rings movie. I haven't seen her since then.
Yeah.
But it was really nice seeing Miranda Otto again. Like, I think she did pretty great for like how little screen time she has.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely like captured the scariness of like being young and dumb.
Yeah.
And like, I think a lot of people would point to this and be like, "Oh, look how dumb Gen Z is." It's like, dude, everyone's dumb when we're that age. Like, I don't think we need to really put a generation on it. I don't think there's anything too generationally specific about it. Every generation has their drugs, you know?
Right. Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, it can be an allegory for drugs, cell phones. It's basically just attention seeking at a young age, whether it's at a party or just...
I viewed it almost as, to me, it was like the strongest analogy would be to like mental health or like depression, and then dealing with that through drugs.
Yeah.
And the movie reminded me of It Follows, which I loved.
Yeah.
But I think I like this even more because
Nice.
that metaphor or that analogy like holds up throughout the movie. Whereas if you really think about It Follows like at all, it doesn't. It makes sense for a second and then it doesn't.
Right.
Still love that movie, but like, yeah, Talk to Me's dope, and I'm stoked to see like these. I think these are like, I don't think these filmmakers have done a whole lot, but I'm definitely rooting for them to do more.
Yeah.
So
should be interesting. I think that was one of our higher horror. There wasn't a lot of good horror this year after like the big horror resurgence we've had.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of big
crummy
ones this
horror.
Year.
Yeah.
34, we got Bottoms. I wanted to like this more than I did, but like they just couldn't settle on a storyline. Like they wanted to do the Fight Club thing, and then they wanted to do the rom-com thing, and it was all over the place.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I didn't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it. It's just interesting. Like at first I was just like, oh, here's Superbad round 3 as far as like what I can tell. And it was a lot more than that for me.
Yeah.
Because the main characters are kind of would fit, like just drop them into Superbad and they work, but the rest of the cast and like the movie around them is just so much like dumber and just a tone of that I enjoyed. So
like I said, it was fine.
Yeah.
It just wasn't like as good as I hoped it would be, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
33, we got Sofia Coppola's Priscilla movie, focusing on Priscilla Presley's story, which I had hoped would be a little bit more about her, and like, but she's pretty static throughout this whole movie. It's interesting, but could have been a little better. And then poor Jacob Elordi from Euphoria has to play Elvis in the wake of last year's Elvis.
Oh no!
And that he's just not good as Elvis. That's very distracting.
There's no Austin Butler.
No, not at all. And spoiler alert, down the line we'll talk about Air on the list and their choice not to have someone trying to encapsulate Michael Jordan. And this is the reason why you don't have somebody try and do an impression of a personality that big, because him trying to do Elvis in this movie was just distracting.
Okay.
So, foreshadowing. We'll get to that one. All right, so that's all the mid movies.
Perfect.
Those are all of our cornflakes. The good but not great. We had a lot of good movies this year. So these, perfectly fine, but not necessarily like first choice, Hall of Fame, gold medalists. These are the Tony Romos. He had a good career.
I don't know who that is.
Ben's grimacing right now because he's a Cowboys fan.
Yeah, Tony Romo's great. He had 500-yard games.
How many playoff wins do you have?
He had back surgery. He had fucking back surgery.
He did. He had back surgery, playoff wins.
He had back surgery. He's fucking hurt.
Exactly. That's a lot of people go into the Hall of Fame for back surgery.
Shut the fuck up. He's gonna go to Hall of Fame as a commentator, Ryan.
Maybe. I don't know. It's 32. American Fiction. It's pretty good.
That was Jeffrey Wright, wasn't it?
Yeah, Jeffrey Wright was in that. It's like a modern adaptation of Percival Everett's book, which just kind of talks about like liberal racism and everybody looking to this guy to write like a novel about the black experience. And so he makes up this story about like a gangbanger and it sells really well. And he's like frustrated because he did it like just out of spite.
Right.
Because nobody will buy the book he wants to write.
Interesting.
So it's really interesting. It's got a really good cast. Tracy Ellis Ross, Jeffrey Wright, Sterling K. Brown. But I wish it focused a little more on that, because there's not a lot of movies that tackle race in like a funny way.
Yeah.
Because it can be a funny topic. It
Sure.
doesn't always need to be super solemn.
Right.
But like it gets really sidetracked into like his mom's going through like dementia and stuff like that. And it's like, I don't really care as much about that story as much as focusing on this other stuff. But it was good. It's like the lowest of the good. 31, we got Ferrari, old Adam Driver, teaming up with Michael Mann. I didn't really care much about Ferrari's story, but him and Penelope Cruz are really good acting in this movie. So
Okay, cool.
that kind of sold it for me. And
Yeah.
Michael Mann just directing anything was good to see again.
Yeah, for sure.
He did a really good job directing the race scenes in this. That was cool to see.
Nice.
29, we got Scream 6. I finally bought into the Scream franchise 6
Oh, yeah?
movies in. This was the one I liked.
Nice.
You've seen them all?
I have.
Okay.
And they like blew up the franchise. I don't know if you've heard the behind the scenes stuff.
No.
They got new writers and a new writer and director for Scream 7 that was going to come out next year. But Jenna Ortega has dropped out of the sequel. Melissa Barrera was fired from the sequel, and the director quit. So this is probably the last good Scream movie we're going to get for a while.
Doof.
Wow.
But yeah, it was just like a good basic horror movie instead of doing like all the dumb meta commentary about horror movies where
Yeah.
it tries to be more clever than it is. So
Okay.
I enjoyed it. 28, we got No Hard Feelings with Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh, right.
Awkward millennial sex comedy.
Yeah.
Super good. Surprisingly heartfelt, I thought.
I'm glad that she made this movie. I'm glad that there's still like an audience for dumb movies like this.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It felt like there was an attempt to make like an R-rated comedy resurgence this year, and this was like the one that kind of felt like a success because it didn't go totally unnoticed.
I feel like it's just, to me, goes along with the resurgence of like sex in movies again in general, which has been pretty hit or miss, but I'm glad that people are trying, you know. I'm down with some sex in movies.
Well, and this one like was like a smart depiction of it in a way that hasn't really been done in like the teen sex comedy, especially in like a more modernized setting. Like you said, people keep trying to remake Superbad or whatever, and it's just like that.
Right.
That premise doesn't necessarily work in today's environment, and this is kind of a fun spin on it.
And even in Bottoms, I'd say it doesn't totally work. And there's a lot of that movie where you're like, you guys are so shitty.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to like root for you at all.
Right.
Yeah, no, this, like you said, a bit more heartfelt.
Yeah.
Like, it's like taking those kind of 90s and 2000s sex comedies, but definitely with a lighter spin on it, but also more extreme spin at times with like the nudity and everything. That was pretty funny.
Yeah,
So,
that was unexpected.
Yeah.
26, we got Guardians,
Yeah.
the one redeeming film in Marvel's current phase,
That's
I would
amazing.
say.
Yeah. From the director over at DC, right?
Yeah, it's
The guy they fired.
his last go around with Marvel.
Right.
Pretty decent. I really liked Rocket Raccoon's story. I think
Yeah.
that was the biggest redeeming factor.
It was really cool.
Decentralizing Star-Lord was a good move. I still like watching Chris Pratt, but like it's an ensemble thing. It always has been. Like it doesn't need to be him getting the most screen time every movie. So
Well, and they just bungled the whole relationship with Gamora to the point where it's like you can't just focus on them anymore. They're not the crux of this.
You mean bungled by like what happened with her getting like killed off and everything?
Yeah, it just seems like that Marvel took his toys out of the toy box and he's like, oh fuck, now what do I do with this?
Yeah. I think that's probably what happened is that he didn't really have much say in how that happened. So I think he did the best he could with those characters. That arc is a little not as good as the rest of it, but I think it's good that he didn't just like totally cop out or something.
Yeah, this felt like a fitting conclusion. It didn't feel like he's like, okay, I'm done with you guys. This gave everyone a pretty fitting end to their stories.
For sure. And it wasn't just like a victory lap or a bunch of callbacks either.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
For sure.
So.
25, we got the Beanie Bubble, another product movie. I'm surprised turned out this well.
I was going into this just planning on not liking it at all. Or, I mean, just thinking I wouldn't like it at all.
Yeah, and I think the entire movie, my wife just kept going, that's not Zach Galifianakis. That can't be Zach Galifianakis.
Yeah.
It's pretty unrecognizable without the beard, but he did a good job. He was great. My favorite thing about this was that most of these product movies are just like idolizing these guys that start these companies as like these flawless visionaries, and this dude is just so clearly a man-child who wants to play with his toys, and once the people that built this company leave him, he's just helpless.
What movie is this?
The Beanie Bubble.
It's about Beanie Babies and the guy that got rich off of that. But yeah, I mean, he's just has this like sleaze about him the whole time, even though the character is trying to hide it. Like, you can just tell and you can feel it coming. Part of it is because like, they have these like testimonials sort of from some of the characters, the three main women in the story. I think it's a great role for Zach Galifianakis.
Yeah.
Like he does a good job at playing this weird guy. So I enjoyed it way more than I expected to. Definitely one of my favorite product movies of the year.
For sure. All right. So you said previously that 2023 was a bad year for sci-fi. How did you feel about The Creator?
Oh, how did I feel about The Creator?
Better than Rebel Moon, right?
Well, no.
What wasn't? Oh, no.
No, because I had like higher expectations for this movie. I knew Rebel Moon would be bad.
Yeah.
But this is one of my guys, dude. Gareth Edwards.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the only person that likes Godzilla 2014.
I like the last like 8 minutes of it.
You only watched it because of cringe.
I did.
Yeah, dude. That movie, Rogue One, I don't know what else he's done, but I like his use of like scale in sci-fi. Like, I've said this before, but no one makes shit look as big as it should, other than Gareth Edwards. Like, he just has a talent for that. But I think he's just, again, kind of like Zack Snyder. He's like better as a visual person.
Yeah.
And his writing is horrible, dude. Like, I think the writing in this movie is so bad.
Really?
Yes. It is the most generic bullshit.
I thought he did good with like the large scale world building here. It's just the details in the story that took you out of it.
Even visually, I didn't think it was that cool.
Really?
I thought the cool like big laser that they show of like the big blue beam like scanning the ground, that was pretty cool. Some more stuff like that would have been cool. But so much of the visual design is just taking like Eastern culture and turning it into sci-fi, which I know is kind of like a cyberpunk thing.
Yeah.
Just putting a robot in a kimono isn't enough to get me like interested in your world. It's so hollow. It feels like this movie went out and got like tattoos of like Japanese and Chinese like letters, you know, as a certain type of person does. This movie felt like that person in human form.
Definitely not number 24 for you.
No, dude, this is so low for me. Like, I will never, and I was so bummed because I was like, you know, I love good visually stunning sci-fi movies that I can rewatch.
Yeah.
And I thought this movie would be that. I was like almost gonna blind buy it.
Yeah.
And then I just can't. Every plot beat felt perfunctory to me, and like something you've seen at least 100 times. Every joke feels like an action movie cliche that you've heard before. There's nothing original in this movie. So yeah, that's my gripe with sci-fi right now, dude. Scavenger's Reign is the only thing doing it for me. So fuck this movie.
The best way I could describe it is just like, this isn't like a redeeming quality at all, but I don't know if you remember the movie that Neil Blomkamp made after District 9 called Elysium.
I never watched that.
Where, like, it spends so much time just creating this environment, and the story is just such an afterthought. Like, it's just this really pretty video game that has a terrible story. And I'm okay with that. In this instance, at least I am.
Yeah.
23, we got Super Mario Brothers.
Oh, God.
Again, just another
what are you
easy,
doing?
Empty watch. You hated this movie that much.
Section of the list.
You hated
I thought it was good.
I didn't think it was bad. Like, what? You really think there needs to be like a deep dive into the origin of where the Mushroom Kingdom came from?
When did
like,
I ever say that?
I don't know.
Or give the impression that that's what I wanted this movie to be.
I just think this is like, Mario is just like a big, bright, goofy cartoon with fun characters, and that's what this movie was.
I mean, Yeah, but like we're adults, dude.
I
Like,
know.
you don't have to like it. Just
know I
because
don't
it was
have to.
financially successful, like doesn't mean that you can't like criticize it for being artistically hollow.
That's usually incentive for me to hate something, but I still like this regardless.
But I feel like you were saying that was your thing, is you were saying like, but it worked.
It worked on me, I guess. I don't know that I mean it worked on a larger scale.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm looking for something packing huge substance in a Mario movie.
I'm not saying it has to do a ton, but this movie felt like the parts of The Force Awakens where characters are just holding like Star Wars objects up to the screen, but like a full runtime.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like to me. Just, hey, carts.
Yeah.
Why?
Rainbow Road.
We don't
dude.
know. We didn't think about that.
It's fair, I guess. It worked for me. Did you like the 1993 Super Mario Brothers movie?
No.
Are you a defender of that? 'Cause
I
I've
mean,
seen
I
it.
like that more than this.
Yeah.
But no, the only parts
You like that more than this?
yeah, sure. It was trying
sure.
something.
It's like anything.
It's trying something.
It had ambition.
It's definitely ambitious.
No, I mean, that movie's obviously a fucking mess. But no, I like Jack Black in this one.
Yeah. What's the little nihilistic star guy? Lumali? Yeah, that was great.
Was
It's
it?
like the cutest little voice, just saying like the most depressing thing you've ever heard.
I don't
Yeah,
remember
That was great. That was my favorite character.
I don't remember that.
They cloned Tyrone at 22.
Hell yeah.
We talked about talking about that on the show, but we never did. Did you end up watching it, Ben?
No.
No.
They
Oh,
clone
really?
Tyrone.
I thought you did.
Yeah, I thought we all talked about it, but
Yeah. You fucking told me you watched it. What the hell?
I fucking did it.
it's a
you
Netflix
did.
movie.
They cloned Tyrone?
Jamie Foxx,
I probably said I want to watch
John
it.
Boyega. Yeah,
It looks cool.
I like
Yeah.
it a lot. I
It's
like it
pretty
a lot.
good.
This is a good sci-fi.
yeah.
Oh, it's
Yeah, like it's a mild sci-fi, which is kind of maybe becoming more of my thing.
Yeah.
I liked like the creepy vibe that it had going on. It feels kind of like Sorry to Bother You, but
Yeah.
meets something a bit more grim and serious.
Mm-hmm.
The performances are like really funny. Like I feel like the performances turn it into more of a comedy, especially Jamie Foxx,
Yeah.
who I just haven't liked this much in a while.
Yeah.
I kind of forgot how good he is, but
Yeah.
man, he just has some killer lines. Like
Yeah.
John Boyega comes over and he's like, "Man, how long's it been since you showered?" And Jamie Foxx just says, "Plead the fifth," in like his, smooth Jamie Foxx
Pimp
voice.
voice,
It's so good. I love him, and I love John Boyega too.
Yeah.
I like that he's obviously attracted to sci-fi projects. He started with Attack the Block and then
Yeah.
went to Star Wars, and now he's back to kind of something like that reminded me of Attack the Block a little bit, just a more like down to earth sci-fi. So
Yeah.
I was definitely into this one.
I think the humor really elevated this for me because I think
Yeah.
there are times where I'm like, okay, this is like a Jordan Peele clone type
Yeah.
thing where some of the sci-fi stuff just lined up a little too clean, but the chemistry between those three and the humor was just too much to
good.
like, you can't not like this. This is great.
Yep.
21, we got When Evil Lurks. This is
Yup.
from Argentinian horror movie. There were a few plot holes here and there, like it wasn't seamless, but some really gruesome, shocking stuff going on in
Yeah.
this movie,
Yeah.
which is saying something considering how many horror movies have come out and tried to push the envelope. This still had a few moments where I was like, oh shit, I did not see that coming at
Man,
all.
I wish it lived up to that hype for me.
Yeah.
From the beginning, I thought I was really gonna dig it.
Yeah.
Like the scene with the axe early on.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Yep. Here we go. But by the last scene, the last shot,
Yeah.
I was like kind of laughing a little bit.
Just numb to it.
Yeah. Yeah. By the end, it had just lost the wind in its sails. And I don't know what did that for me because I really wanted to like it. I was really into the vibe going in.
Yeah, and it kind of teetered back and forth. Like at first it was going to be just this chaos and it's not going to explain what's going on. You're just thrown into this situation and you got to figure it out.
Which is cool. I love just, yeah.
But then they just did big exposition dumps and it's like, well,
Yeah.
that doesn't really all line up, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It still had enough going for it
It's
that
a
I
good
enjoyed
movie.
it. But
yeah, it's a dope movie.
20, we got 1001.
Oh, man.
Is that too low? I know you like this one quite a
Yeah,
bit.
this is like, I'm fine with whatever.
Yeah.
But might be my favorite of the year.
Yeah.
If I'm being serious with myself. Like, not something I'm going to, like, revisit. It's kind of a tough hang.
Yeah.
But it's the most impactful
Yeah.
for me this year. It just kind of, like, talked about some stuff that is either, like, on my mind or has been on my mind in, like, recent years, just about, like, the foster care system. And we talked about how I used to work in a school. And
Yeah.
that was, like, my first real exposure to some of the realities of the foster care system, which are pretty upsetting.
Yeah.
This movie is also dealing with like gentrification in New York, which I think is an interesting subject, and
Yeah. Having those two subjects play off each other and
that alone,
the hypocrisy there was
but
great.
then also at the center of it, you have this like story about parenthood and legitimacy, and then by the end it's like completely subverted that idea, and it just gets you to think so hard about that stuff.
Teyana Taylor was great. I don't think I've ever seen her in anything before this. She was so good.
She was great. Yeah.
And A.V. Rockwell, this was her first movie writing and directing.
Okay.
It's really strong debut.
Yeah. Gonna be keeping an eye out for all these people.
For sure. That was really good. So that was 20. 19, we got The Covenant. Ben and I talked about this movie. Ben,
Yes.
wake up. You're here.
Oh, shit. Ben saw that one?
Ben saw this one.
Super good.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Soundtrack's sick too.
Yeah, it did have a good soundtrack. I was surprised. I thought this was going to be like a dumb Iraqi propaganda movie, but
Nope.
it was actually really well done and kind of like focuses more on like the human element of warfare more than a lot of modern war movies do.
You said it kind of focuses on journalists or...
No, it's a local interpreter.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Forms this relationship with Jake Gyllenhaal as he's out deployed in Afghanistan. And
Dude saves Jake's life pretty
yeah.
much. The U.S. allegedly left like hundreds, if not like 1,000 of covenants over there after they promised they bring him back to the U.S. for their service. So that's really interesting.
Just kind of shines a light on an aspect of warfare that you don't necessarily think about and the collateral damage left behind. So I thought that was really cool, really enlightening. 18, I got Thanksgiving. I think that's my highest rated horror movie. I don't know why everybody turned to hate Eli Roth. Is it just because he's buddies with Tarantino? It seems like he's
No.
fallen really out of favor with people.
Really?
Yeah, but
Huh.
I loved Cabin Fever. That was I don't know
He did
what it was.
Cabin
but-
Fever?
Yeah, that was his first movie, and that ever since then I'm just like I like this dude. I want to see what he does.
That rocked, but here's the thing. I always had this impression that Eli Roth was like pretty extreme horror or like grotesque.
Well, he
and,
followed
like-
up Cabin Fever with Hostel, so
See, there you go.
That'll do
See,
it.
That's where you went wrong, bud.
yeah.
I know that's like a certain group of people is down with that.
Yeah.
But those people are out of their minds. Not good. I've never seen Hostel.
Really? See-
Dude, I never will.
No.
I have no desire to watch torture.
I get
like
that.
a movie that's just like, yeah, this is a bunch of torture.
But it's not
no.
just torture. Like there's a story about like gross rich dudes paying to torture people. I don't know.
I got the idea from you telling me
There's
just now.
yeah, there's
Like,
a
I'm
little
good.
more depth to it.
You're talking about
but-
Hostel?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I don't mean to say, because I never got the impression that it didn't have artistic integrity and wasn't trying to say something. I'm not down for mostly torture.
yeah.
Like just
Fine,
as a-
fine. Torture's bad, Max. You got me. Okay.
oh man, my hot take.
Whatever.
Max is definitely in the minority here.
Yeah, dude. I don't know what's wrong with me, you guys.
No. Thanksgiving though, it's just like a dumb slasher movie trying to play on like I don't know, kind of like a My Bloody Valentine type archetype of a holiday killer.
Oh, okay.
And it's like doing like a 90s whodunit angle. I don't know. It has some humor to it. It's compelling enough. It leans into the goofiness of making a horror movie around Thanksgiving.
That's good. I mean,
It was fun. I liked it.
that's good.
And I'm glad to see him doing horror again. He kind of veered off into doing some dumb stuff with the Death Wish remake with Bruce Willis, and no, he needs to be doing horror. This is where he's in his lane. Yeah, this was good. I heard it did well enough that he's going to do a sequel, so
Wow.
I'm excited for
Okay.
that. He made this really quickly because like he started on the Borderlands adaptation,
Yeah.
left it, and then filmed this whole movie as they're still doing reshoots for Borderlands. So that just makes me think that's going to be a fucking train wreck. But at least he's got Thanksgiving. That makes me happy for him.
That's good.
Whatever shit gets thrown his way when that comes out next
Yeah.
year sometime.
Oh god.
17, we got John Wick. I don't remember. Had you seen any of the John Wicks before this?
I've seen all of them.
You have? Okay.
I've been keeping up.
I'm of the impression that outside of John Wick 2, they get better every time. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. John Wick 2, for some reason, was kind of a misstep.
Yeah.
I mean, they always ramp it up in terms of action and stuff. That one just wasn't as narratively satisfying.
Yeah.
And yeah, I did not think they would be able to go this long. I mean, he dies at like the end of every one of them, right?
Right,
so you're like, oh, I guess that's it.
Yep.
And then there's another one, and it's cool. It's
Yeah.
always good, and it never takes me too long to watch a John Wick. You know, for some reason, I'm just eventually drawn in. I'm like, oh yeah,
Again, like
this again.
we were talking about how just dumb and disconnected the action sequences in The Flash looked.
Yeah.
And you just look at that all CGI green screen shit, and
Right.
this movie has no plot. Like it's basically
Yeah.
R-rated Fortnite. And John Wick versus everybody.
Yeah.
And he's just got nunchucks and horses and axes, and he's been going for 4 movies, and it's great.
You know you can be John Wick in Fortnite. They got a John Wick skin.
I didn't
sure
know
you
you
can.
knew what Fortnite was.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
I tried it. He
fucking hates it.
a little bit, and then I got killed by a bunch of kids and felt bad about myself.
Yeah.
I love it.
You love it.
Ben's
Me
one
and
of the
Haley
kids
play
that
it.
beats
Yeah, I
me.
was gonna say Ben would be one of the kids.
John Wick is about as close to a Fortnite movie as they can get, right? Unless they do some weird like
I've never
world
played-
building.
No, I mean, it's so like bubbly, like the aesthetic. There's no connection there
No.
for me. Yeah,
It's just the battle royale aspect of it.
yeah, I see what you're
Yeah.
saying. For sure, I get that. Yeah,
Okay, 16 we got Blackberry.
yeah,
It's really solid. Again, another product movie I didn't know I
product.
ever needed to see, but it's really interesting. Like, didn't realize how quickly they went from owning such a majority of the market share of cell phones to just being obsolete.
Yep.
yeah. It was kind of one of those things that like made sense to me in hindsight. When I think about it, I'm like, oh yeah, that was a pretty small. Even though I was young at the time, I can realize now BlackBerry was not around for a long time.
No. But yeah, just super well written. That one line they say, what is it? Perfect is the enemy of good, and good is the enemy of humanity.
Yeah,
Just that like sums up the whole movie right there.
They said what?
The power struggle. Perfect is the enemy of good. Good enough is the enemy of humanity. And just like the power struggle between this dude who's trying to be capitalizing on making as much money as possible and just worrying about perfection later, and then the dude that's just fixating on making the perfect thing and never being able to sell it. And that's just like the power dynamic that goes throughout this whole movie. But it's really good. Another dude from It's Always Sunny showing up. Glenn Howerton was really good in this.
it was fun watching Glenn Howerton. He was probably the highlight for me.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty good. It felt maybe a bit standard as far as like the biopic formula.
Yeah.
But I don't think this director, who also plays like the sidekick
Yeah.
co-star, I don't think he's done a lot.
No.
Some Canadian guy.
Matt Johnson.
He was cool. I mean, he was cool as an actor, and yeah, I think this movie's pretty decent. So I'm stoked. I hope he continues to get stuff to do.
Pretty good. Pretty good. Got that 16. 15 we got When You Finish Saving the World.
Yeah.
Jesse Eisenberg is somebody I can like definitely see why people find him off-putting.
Yeah, I forgot he directed this.
But I really like this movie.
I know. It made me want to not like it, but I do like it.
No, I thought he did a great job. Like,
Yeah.
And you know, I've not been a big fan of Finn Wolfhard outside
Right.
of Stranger Things, but
Yeah.
he's kind of perfect
He's
as
great,
like the
yeah.
self-involved kid.
So perfect.
And
Yeah.
the music in this was really good. Like, I liked a lot of the original songs, and the soundtrack here was good. Mm-hmm. The whole dynamic with Finn and Julianne Moore, who plays his mom. Which
Yeah.
she was great. I haven't seen her in a lot lately, but
I always loved Julianne Moore,
Yeah.
and she was great. I also appreciate that this wasn't like a terribly long movie.
Yeah.
I think it made sense for what it was. The Finn Wolfhard stuff worked a lot better for me than the Julianne Moore stuff.
yeah.
And part of that was because this is an A24 thing, right? Yeah, and even
yeah.
here we go. On Google, we've got comedy/horror. It is not a horror.
Horror?
Yeah, you
What?
can't. But I was expecting that, and maybe
That's
Maybe
weird.
that's on me. I just thought A24 always had like a little bit of creepiness in what they did, and yeah, there's like some creepiness, but
No.
I was wanting it to really kind of ramp up a bit more
Yeah.
in the Julianne Moore plot line.
Yeah.
But it's so tame.
Yeah.
And It just didn't go where I was wanting it to by the end. I don't know if that's really a fair expectation, you know?
Yeah, they do a lot of horror, but I don't think A24 is like exclusively
Okay.
horror bound. That's strange that it's categorized as a horror movie, though.
Yeah, I think that's an issue to advertise it as horror because like
Yeah.
that's what I wanted. That's what I was expecting is
Yeah.
like comedy and a bit more horror than what it delivered. But
Yeah, that definitely shapes expectations
it
quite a
does,
bit.
yeah. Especially when you can see the points where it's like, this is when it would happen.
Yeah.
This is when so-and-so would lose their shit, you
Yeah.
know? And it didn't happen. And I was like so let down.
I just felt like this was like a good like Noah Baumbach or like modern day Woody Allen character comedy. You know what I mean? But I guess I didn't see it advertised as a horror movie. That
Yeah.
would definitely change my
I
perception.
guess maybe that's on me.
No. 14's Cocaine Bear, which I found out I don't think anyone liked besides me and you, Ben.
Dude,
I liked it.
I liked it.
I liked it too. It's funny to me that it's so high on the list. And I think it's a product of being like one of the first movies you guys saw in the year.
It might
you
be.
saw it together.
I watched
You
it
probably-
again.
You probably had a great time.
Yeah.
And then so it's like hanging at the top of the list like all year.
I watched it again to try and like convince myself out of it. And I'm
Yeah.
like, nope. I still like hanging out with Alden Ehrenreich, eating pasta at the bar.
But that's the thing, dude. I mean, he really is the highlight of the movie, and I'm not saying that in a disparaging way because he's
Yeah.
also someone that I think is really underrated.
Yeah.
I've loved him ever since Hail Caesar.
I'm glad he's back.
I'm glad he's back too. But like the Carrie, what's her?
Carrie Russell?
Carrie Russell.
Yeah.
Her plot line with her was pretty boring. A lot of the like action stuff had been given away in the trailer.
Yeah.
The bear looked terrible.
Yeah?
Yeah, that
didn't think it was
CG,
too
man.
bad. I
Oh
don't-
man, just don't. Oh man, broad daylight, the whole movie. I guess it's like a comedy. It's got to be in daylight.
Yeah.
but probably my favorite part is just at the beginning when you've got Matthew Rhys from The Americans just on that plane snorting
yeah.
coke and throwing bags out the,
Yeah,
the plane,
yeah.
just going woo, woo.
Yeah. I didn't realize that was him. That's great.
Yeah, man. He's I think he and Carrie Russell like make an effort to be in stuff
together, yeah.
even
That's
if it's
tight.
just something like that. That's what it seems like at least. But
yeah.
it was fun. It was fun. This is what's his name's last Ray Liotta's last role too, right?
One
or,
of his
or
last.
one of them.
I think he's got another movie like trickling
Yeah.
out this year or something. But
Yeah.
yeah. I was
It's-
hoping he was going to push it a little further,
Right.
but he's still pretty good.
He's pretty good. We can't like yeah.
He's Ray Liotta.
He was actually great.
Yeah. He's better than he was in Fool's Paradise for sure. 13, we got Beau's Afraid. I rewatched this one recently because at first, like, this movie is just so fucking weird. Like, if you've seen any of Ari Aster's movies, Hereditary or Midsummer, you know this dude is like on another level visually and just being able to get under your skin with shit like you have not seen in a very effective way. And this is just like him with no guardrails at all in this weird psychological dark comedy in this Freudian movie about Joaquin Phoenix having just crazy anxiety trying to make it to his mom's funeral. It's just insane. It's so weird. So many things just you never thought you'd see in a movie. And like at first I was just like, wow, this is a lot. Like, what is this movie? I think I'm following the thread, and then it just throws you a curveball and you're lost again. And I think just that ambition and just that confidence from Ari Aster as a filmmaker is just so endearing to me that I'm like, I'm so glad this dude's here, and I'm so glad somebody's paying him to make these movies because it's so rare to see somebody just take such a wild swing like this.
Right.
I watched it recently when I was watching The Curse, and I think those two things kind of mirrored each other in that there's so many movies now that just like force feed you a message and tell you exactly what to think about what they're trying to say. And these are just so refreshingly ambiguous and don't spoon feed you anything at all and purposely just leave you saying, what the fuck did I just watch? And that it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I have kind of missed that.
Yeah.
I've been wanting more of that in my movies lately. And Ari Aster's a great dude to be doing that.
I got to check this one out. This is the one that I was really hoping to get to and couldn't before we recorded. But I love Ari Aster, love Hereditary and Midsummer. I might watch this tonight. Like, I've really been wanting to watch this, and you said that it pairs well with The Curse. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's out there for sure. 12, we got Society of the Snow. J.A. Boyena, who is making his rebound after directing Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom.
Oh, right.
Which is nice because he was kind of like a promising up-and-coming director,
Right.
and then he got saddled with a really shitty franchise movie, and it was like, oh shit, is this guy going to come back? And he did.
Clean up Trevorrow's mess.
Exactly. So it was nice to see him rebound. It's a story about this Uruguayan rugby team that crashes in the Andes Mountains.
Yeah.
And survives there for like 71 days.
I've heard about that.
Yeah, I think there's been more than... I think this isn't the first movie about this either, but this was really well done, super realistic. They filmed like in the Andes, so it looks very realistic, and they capture the tone of it really well. Just super effective, really good score. I think this is Giacchino did this one too, so...
The best.
As always, really good music there, but yeah, just super effective survival movie. 11, we got Poor Things.
Yeah.
Yorgos Lanthimos' new movie with Emma Stone.
This is another
Great.
one I really wanted to see.
It's just refreshing to see like an actress willing to like
Yeah.
do this kind of role. Just not really subscribe to the whole superficial standards of what an actress needs to do to maintain some image of like what we perceive as like being a Hollywood actress. And she's just fully commits here, and it's great. She's really good.
She's killing it right now. Like, her career is just super interesting and cool.
Right. And like the basic premise of this movie is just like a spin on Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Which, again, not to shit on Taika Waititi, but like Yorgos Lanthimos does like such a great job breathing new life into such a familiar story. Like Frankenstein's been done to fucking death. No pun intended, but like he's got so much style and originality in the way he does this movie that like it's just so enthralling, I guess, to see the weird places he takes it. So
you're comparing to Next Goal Wins?
Yeah.
Okay. Just
basically,
making sure.
yeah. I guess that was the Taika comparison.
Gotcha.
Because
I was like, did Taika make a Frankenstein?
no, but again, it's like a very familiar concept because of the person who's making it having such a strong style and such a strong creative direction that it elevates it beyond what you've already seen done a million times.
For sure. This is another one I wanted to see is May December.
Yeah,
Natalie
May December's
Portman.
up there at 9.
Julianne Moore in that one too?
Yeah, Julianne
Nice.
Moore is in this movie. It is really well formatted, and like it's like a Russian doll effect where it's a movie within a movie almost.
Okay.
Because they're kind of like we were talking earlier about people like flocking to true story incidents and making a movie out of it.
Yeah.
Natalie Portman plays this actress who is studying a role.
Right.
And so she goes and shadows Julianne Moore to try and like learn about her character for this movie.
To play her, yeah.
And yeah, just kind of the lecherous lens of like her just feeding off this real life situation.
Not treating her like an actual human, but just as work.
Yeah. And like also kind of the duality of like people's willingness to manipulate perception and reality to try and put up a certain facade. And just the way that they do that is so well done in this movie.
That sounds really cool.
Very, very well done. It's kind of a dark comedy almost by like how much they lean into it sometimes.
Okay.
But thought it was really well done. And then the last Tony Romo on the list, we got Air at number 8. The Michael Jordan story without Michael Jordan.
Right.
That is
minus Jordan.
That's a Tony Romo?
It's the best Tony Romo. It's the best season of Tony Romo's career.
500-yard game.
Do you think it should be higher
Should be a best.
or lower?
It's probably teetering.
Teetering. It's right there in between the crosshairs.
It's probably fair.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
Yeah, I thought it was good, but it wasn't like incredible by any means. We've seen the startup business movie.
Yeah, I don't know why. This one really didn't work on me.
Yeah.
And like I love Matt Damon.
Yeah.
And I love Michael Jordan.
Do you love Ben Affleck?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Be sure you include him.
Viola Davis is good in this.
Viola Davis is always good.
Right,
I mean,
she's
what are you
good in
going to do?
everything.
What are you going to do? You can't hold her down. But the only thing I even remember about this movie is like the Viola Davis scenes and the big speech at the end that Matt Damon gives to I don't know who that's for, you know? It's so weird, and it like maybe tainted the rest of the movie for me, but like I said, I can't really remember anything else. So maybe maybe I wouldn't remember it at all if it hadn't been for that. But it just felt so strange to me that he was basically like telling Michael Jordan what his career was going to be.
Yeah.
And we're all sitting there watching it going like, yeah, I guess that's true. That is like, he's basically saying how it went down with Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Like, what? I don't understand who it's for. I don't get it.
He planted the seed.
I guess. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, we're seeing Michael Jordan's origin story.
Yeah.
And that's like,
He incepted Michael Jordan's greatness into young Michael Jordan.
well, I love that idea. Yeah, that's cool.
I thought it was good. Like, it was effective.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. I hate to be such a...
No, I understand because, yeah, there wasn't, like you said, there's not a lot of, like, big standout moments. I just thought it was a really effectively told story.
I think also, and this is something that even bothered me with Oppenheimer, when it's like a historical thing and I already know the outcome,
yeah.
it's like hard to get super invested in it.
Right.
You know?
When they try and put like drama in, like, oh,
Yeah,
is this
it's
going to
like,
happen?
oh,
Well, yeah,
man,
we know,
is Matt
dude.
Damon really going to sell this shoe or what?
Right.
Like, yeah, I know he did, dude.
Yeah.
So it
I
would
get
have been
that.
also would have been cool at the end if they were like, Nike went on to own more sweatshops than Adidas and all the other shoe stores.
Yeah, they throw a lot of shade at Adidas, like little self-righteous at
Yeah.
points, but no, that's
Notoriously evil company.
Nike probably made him do that. Like, don't you think that they had to have some sort of permission from
true.
Nike
Oh yeah,
to make
for
that?
sure. Yeah, they,
To put the Adidas in there?
No,
Or, to
permission
make the
from
whole
Nike.
movie?
Yes.
I'm sure Nike was heavily involved.
yeah,
In
Right.
the same way that
So-
Mattel was heavily
Yeah.
involved with Barbie.
yeah.
Who?
Mattel.
I thought you said Nutella.
Nutella, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Barbie dolls are made of Nutella.
Did you think it was a bad choice not to show Michael Jordan?
No.
Was it like a gimmick?
No, we talked about that again
Yeah.
with Oppenheimer. Like when you see Einstein, it almost feels like you need to look away or something.
Yeah.
It's like looking into the sun,
Right.
you know, or
Yeah.
at Jesus or something.
What's that? It's like you can't depict
Muhammad.
Muhammad. Yeah, exactly.
right.
You can't depict Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Dude, I feel like they did a good job with the casting of that Einstein, though.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like, it was
absolutely.
fucking... I thought it was CGI.
He was so, and it was
was spot on.
actually like, it was so pleasant to see him. And it's a different
was.
thing. Like,
Yeah.
'cause, you
If
know.
they would have picked like a name actor, like if Anthony Hopkins was doing Einstein, it would have been a whole different thing.
Right. And like with Michael Jordan, like I wouldn't look at Michael Jordan in real life if he was walking by
No,
me. I'd
no.
avert my eyes, you know?
All right, so that's the Tony Romos. We're finally made it to the 7 best movies of the year. These are the Disgusting Brothers, the Tom and Gregs,
The Disgusting Brothers.
best of the best. Number 7 is The Holdovers.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Alexander Payne. He hasn't had the most consistent track record, mostly because of Downsizing being his last movie he put
Oh.
out. But this was a nice return to form for him. Just a nice, solemn character study about some oddballs spending the holidays together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really
Giamatti,
good cast. Yeah.
Underrated as always. Like what a killer.
Yeah.
I don't know who the younger guy is, but he was really funny.
I think this is his first movie. Like, he
Oh,
was super
damn.
good.
That scene where he breaks his hand and he's in the back of the car and they're just bantering, that was really fucking good.
Yeah. The chemistry between these three was just so good.
Oh yeah, and what's her name?
Yeah.
Who was the
Divine
only
Joy Randolph.
who was the only good part of The Idol? Like
Yeah.
honestly,
I didn't know she was in that.
yeah, and I honestly do blame her a little bit with like getting me to keep watching it because she would show up and I'd be like, maybe this show is smart.
Well, if
like,
she's here.
right, yeah,
No,
No,
she was great.
fantastic.
I didn't
yeah.
recognize her from being the cop from Only Murders in the Building until I looked at her IMDb after this. I'm like, oh, that's where I know her.
I really liked her Boston accent in this one too.
Yeah.
That was or Massachusetts. I don't know
Right.
specifically, but
Boston adjacent.
Boston adjacent. Good accent work for sure, and like totally convincing setting. Like the late
Yeah.
70s setting was really good. I watched this one with my parents who are well aware of that setting.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
They did a good job with that. So, yeah, heartwarming, but like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people would look at the trailer for this and be like, I know what this is. You
Yeah.
know, too cutesy.
Right.
It's not. It's the characters are total assholes.
Yeah.
And so it like evens it out in a nice way.
Yeah.
You know, and it doesn't go full heartfelt
No.
at the end, which I thought was also a great choice. So.
Yeah. It really makes you like work for this relationship between these three characters. Like they're so like at odds with each other at times that it doesn't feel like it should work, but that almost like is what makes it more successful than it should be. 6, we got The Iron Claw, which was like supposed to be this big Oscar vehicle for Zac Efron, but I have not heard anything about it since it's been released.
Was he good in it?
He was pretty good, yeah.
Cool.
It's not like I would say he was better than Cillian Murphy or any of the other Oscar dudes, but he held his own. I think probably the biggest detriment to this movie is the wrestling. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm a stickler because I'm somebody who has watched a bunch of wrestling as a kid.
Yeah.
It kind of stuck out that Zac Efron and Jeremy Allen White were actors trying to pretend to be wrestlers who just got super bulked up. But the story is just like so gutting. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Von Erichs story.
I mean, I've heard a little bit about it because of this movie, and it does sound pretty rough.
Yeah.
Where would you place this movie on the roughness scale as far as like, where would you place it in terms of the wrestler?
I'd say it's
also a very rough wrestling movie.
The Wrestler is a better movie for sure. I feel like this may be more guilty of like tragedy porn, like The Whale was accused of last year, where it's, even though it's obviously going for that tone and makes like some really, really effectively emotionally charged scenes, it's still really good. I think the director did a great job of like capturing the era of the like early 80s grungy wrestling scene. And Richard Reed Perry, I think is his name, dude from Arcade Fire, did the music for this, and the music is so good. Like, I did not know this guy pivoted to doing soundtracks, but yeah, this is definitely one of my favorite scores of the year. He also did an original song in the movie, which like there's a sequence where one of the brothers is like not really into wrestling and he has like a garage band on the side and he plays this song, like they go to this house party and it's like, I want to live this way forever or whatever. And then there's a reprise of the song later after like all these tragedies have happened and he's trying to like play the guitar part the same way and sing it and he just can't get it out. And it's like, that just hit me so hard. That was really effective. So I don't know, maybe it's just the music and wrestling that I connected with, but I thought it was well done. I thought it was good.
Awesome.
Hopefully it gets more Oscar love than it did at the Golden Globes because I don't think it got nominated for anything.
Oh, dude, not even nominated. That's an insult.
Yeah, so that was a little bit of a bummer.
They're obviously trying, you know.
Yeah, for sure. It
They're
came out like
doing Oscar stuff.
This is very Oscar movie, Christmas Day
that's
release.
That's got to be such a like, and I know that's been happening with Maestro too, where it's like, dude, do you like hate Bradley Cooper? At least nominate him.
Right.
It's so mean.
Well, and here's the thing, because me and Ben were talking about this a little bit, because I was telling him how much I liked Maestro.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, people saying it's Oscar bait, but like, he was like, well, the second you saw that Oppenheimer was rated R, you were like, Nolan's going for his Oscar this year, right? And I was like, yeah, it clearly seems to be that way, but he is definitely like the front runner for all these awards this year. Nobody seems to be holding that against him.
Yeah.
And that's, I don't know. These award shows seem to be so like narrative driven of like, we need to reward this person this year. And this year just feels like Nolan told Zaslav to shove it. So we're going to give him all the awards because Universal let him make his movie and it was good.
Right.
So number 5 is Oppenheimer.
Nice.
That's the intro.
Dope movie.
You guys both rewatched it.
Yeah.
I haven't had no inclination to rewatch it.
Yeah.
That's how I felt too until Haley wanted to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like great opportunity. Music was better this time. Everything was better this time.
Really?
I was putting it off, but my dad wanted to, and it was fun to watch it again. I definitely I don't know. A lot of my criticisms just were not relevant to the second viewing for some reason. I don't know why that is, but and I thought it was going to move even slower, but I had less of a problem with that transition into the third act of the movie this time. Like it just felt much more of a piece for some reason.
I feel like the first time I expected the explosion to be the climax.
Right.
Yeah.
And kind of like
Well,
end
it kind of
soon
is.
after. It is, but like I expected that to kind of be the end.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that threw me off. But watching it again,
having the stamina for it, like knowing how long you needed.
Yeah. When's this going to hit?
I get it.
Hey, man, that makes a difference, I think.
No, but yeah, obviously super well made. I enjoyed it.
he can only go so wrong,
Right.
Tenet.
I'm a little surprised it's been as dominant as it has been at all the award shows. I think it won almost every category at the Golden Globes.
Is that why you've slid it down like 3 spots?
I haven't. See, that's why I tried to do this early, so I can't be accused of being reactionary. But I did slide it because initially I had it as like my number 1 for most of the summer, and that part of that is just because most of the good movies don't come out until the last 5 weeks of the year.
Sure.
But I don't know. It just didn't stay with me the way most Nolan movies did, where I'm just like, yeah, I saw that. It was what it was. If I ever see it again, fine. If I don't, that's fine too.
So one of the things that edged it out was Dream Scenario.
Yeah.
We've got that at
That's at
number
4.
4.
What'd you think of that movie?
I loved it.
I did too.
Man.
Obviously.
Always down with Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
But he was really bringing it this time. It's like one of his rare performances up with like adaptation.
Yeah.
And just some of my favorite Nicolas Cage stuff. Yeah, I didn't know he could quite do this shade of character, but it's great. And yeah, the movie itself I just think is a good kind of examination with obsession with fame and what fame could actually mean, and just how pathetic we all are with like as soon as one thing you've got going like catches on with people, you're like, well, I guess that's my thing now, you know?
Yeah. It's really effective. Yeah, we kind of talked earlier about more ambiguous storytelling, and this was like exploring some really unique and original stuff that you haven't seen in a while, and it's a cool concept, but it also doesn't get weighed down in like the logistics of, oh, here's how the dreams work and here's how he's being projected.
No.
This weird thing keeps happening and here's how he's dealing with it.
It's so hands off with all that.
Yeah.
So my interpretation was that he kind of like fucked up at a certain point. I don't know if that's your interpretation, but when he like goes home with the younger girl,
that seemed to be the turning point.
Yeah. I didn't know if that was just me, but I really felt like that was where the character really let me down.
Yeah.
Because I liked stuff about him until that happened, and then it was like, all right, you really are this dude. And then that scene with them trying to have sex or something like it. Yeah. It is so fucking good, dude.
That was the turning point.
Oh man. I fucking died. I laughed so hard at Nicolas Cage just willing to look like the biggest buffoon. It was great. It was really great.
Really good. Really solid. 3, we got Maestro. Speak of the devil.
There he is.
I know a lot of people have been down on this movie, either from Oscar bait or a lot of people just bummed that it wasn't more about Bernstein making music. And
or like the half measure of what is this supposed to be about Bernstein or his wife,
Yeah, and I don't know. I thought it was a really unique way to do a biopic, whereas, we talked a little bit about Oppenheimer or Air, where you kind of know their career trajectory already. You know how it's going to end. Whereas this wasn't as focused as like, okay, how did he go into making the score for West Side Story? It was more about like what built this guy as a creative force and like all the different parts of his life that helped him, produce this incredible music. And it was another movie that kind of tore down the facade of like the genius mastermind, and he's more just the product of like the music moving through him and like what inspired him. And at the end of the movie, it's like, it just doesn't hit as much as it used to, and it's a result of his relationships. It's a result of where he is in his life. And I don't know. I just thought it was a really cool study of kind of like the creative process and what made up this guy's motivations, his career. And it doesn't hurt that Bradley Cooper is a fucking great director. Super good. I know a lot of people have been pivoting from acting to directing, but he's really good in this.
So he gets the Oscar over Nolan?
I don't know.
What about Cillian?
Directing? I think Cillian gets the acting Oscar.
Okay.
I think directing, I don't know. I might give it to Nolan.
Yeah?
Probably. I mean, unless I'm going to give it to Ari Aster. I don't know. 'Cause he's just as far as directors go, he's probably got my most highly anticipated watch list of like, I want to see what that dude does next.
Who directed the Super Mario Bros. Movie? You love that guy,
he was
right?
great. Right? It's visionary. Number 2, we got Barbie.
There she is.
So earlier I had Oppenheimer. I said, I think on the show, I said Oppenheimer's probably the better movie, but Barbie's the funner one to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And I found myself rewatching Barbie and having kind of the same experience you guys described about Oppenheimer, where like the things that stuck out to me the first time just went down a lot smoother, where I'm like, I like this even better the second time.
Nice.
So
I've rewatched this one as well.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot the first time around, and I would say it worked as well, maybe even a little better the second time. I was a little confused by the plot line of Barbie needing to become a human.
Yeah.
The first time I saw it. I'm still slightly confused when I look at it from the right angle, but it's making a little more sense to me now. And God, dude, I remember thinking how great Ryan Gosling was, but rewatching it, he's just hilarious. He's really funny. And I thought that after seeing The Nice Guys.
Yeah.
A lot of people haven't seen that movie.
I've seen it.
Ryan Gosling and
good.
Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
It's a great movie. Him doing some more comedic stuff in there. I think he got even better for this movie.
Yeah.
And it's not all, I think some people's problem is like, well, Ken's the best part of the movie. It's like, I don't know. Maybe he is, but I think this movie said everything it wanted to say regardless. So
Yeah.
I'm not sweating it.
This is everything you could ever want. Like, they're not going to do a sequel, right?
I hope. I think
I've heard Margot Robbie said, like, we put everything into
right.
this. We're
Well,
not gonna.
but there have been like whispers of like
Yeah.
a Ken spinoff, and I really hope they don't do that
Yeah.
because, like I said, this basically already is as much Ken as you need. So.
Right. Do you think
good.
Mattel thinks like this pays off in the long run? Like, are Barbie
I
sales
think
up?
they're idiots, dude. Weren't they the ones that right after were like, Daniel Kaluuya signed up for a Magic 8-Ball movie?
No, he's Barney. There is a Magic 8-Ball movie, but yeah, they want the whole
I quit
Mattel
the show.
universe. But yeah,
I can't do this anymore, you guys. If that's what we're looking at next year, is
Yeah.
Daniel Kaluuya as Barney juggling a Magic 8-Ball.
But this was good. I liked it.
Yeah.
Solid movie. Number 2, which leads us to number 1, Anatomy of a Fall.
Yeah.
This
The fuck is that?
movie kind of came out of nowhere.
The Anatomy of a Fall?
Yeah.
yeah.
Palme d'Or winner.
No, the grandpa, but yeah.
You guys
Super
said
good.
yeah when I asked back. It's kind of on you.
Super good. And I don't know why nobody's thought to do like a trial procedural movie without knowing how, like, the end result. Like, you see what happens and why they go to trial, but you don't necessarily know if she's innocent or guilty.
Right.
And I don't feel like anyone really does that in a lot of like trial movies. And it's such a clever way to do like a true crime aspect where you're trying to figure it out as you watch it.
The level of ambiguity alone in like a crime
Yeah.
thing is just unprecedented
Yeah.
with Anatomy of a Fall. It's just
so
like,
good.
no, like we're not doing that. We're not just spelling all this shit out for you. That's the whole point.
Right.
And it really gets at like the complexity of relationships. Well, should we say anything about this? Should we like explain what this is about at all?
Yeah,
It's
we
like,
can say like the
it's
basics.
given away like pretty quickly.
Yeah.
There's a guy dies and his wife is basically the only suspect, and their blind son is like the only quote unquote witness to the whole thing.
Right.
It happens in France. It's like a very interesting look at the French court system,
Yeah.
which we're obviously not very used to.
Yeah.
Pretty different from what we deal with, and like some of the investigative stuff that you get to see is pretty different from what we're familiar with as well. So yeah, even just seeing like a procedural in a different country was cool, but the whole movie is playing around with ambiguity, and there's a part that I wanted to reference where the husband's therapist takes the stand and like gives his view of things and like talks about all this stuff that the guy said in therapy, and the wife is like, you think you know us from that? Like,
Right.
what the fuck is going on here? Like, it's, like 1% of our relationship. And the movie really like plays that out. That is like a theme that resonates through the whole thing. It just really gets at like the complexity of relationships, and I don't know, maybe the complexity of truth in a way.
Yeah.
Like how everyone has an individual truth in a way. Yeah, dude, I loved this. Just got to this one last night, so it's like fresh in my head.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about it all day. Like it's
So good. I
Yeah.
liked it a lot, obviously. Movie of the year. That's my number one.
Yep.
All right. Well, yeah, I guess that's it. We don't need any recommendations. We just listed
No.
90
You
things.
can find some stuff in there to watch.
For sure. That's it. That's the season. We're done.
Goodbye.
Bye.
For more, visit internetkilledthevideostore.com.